Right now, the eyes of the world watch this narrow strip of shipping lane in the Middle East. Since November of 2023, Houthi rebels based in Yemen and backed by Iran have launched numerous drone and missile attacks on vessels passing through the Red Sea. Their goal? To target Israeli commerce to end the recent ground invasion of Gaza. In reality, these strikes have targeted ships indiscriminately and caused an international migration of shipping companies from the region, which threatens the supply chain of more than 55 nations and has already led to increased consumer prices globally. The panic was intensified after a video was uploaded by the Houthi rebels showing a special forces-style operation in which a military helicopter dropped commandos onto the deck of the Galaxy cargo ship. But how did a group of Yemeni rebels come to pull off such an attack? And who might really be behind the equipment and tactics used to take the Galaxy? The Houthi movement began in northern Yemen in the 1990s as an Islamist political and military organization made up of Zaidi Shias. Their leader, Hussein al-Houthi, opposed the Yemeni president, Ali Abdullah Saleh, and accused him of corruption and of acting as a puppet to Saudi Arabia and the United States. And in 2004, when Saleh ordered a strike by the Yemeni military which killed the Houthi leader, it sparked a rebellion that persists still today as Yemen's ongoing civil war. Following the death of Hussein, his brother Abdul Malik al-Houthi took over the Houthi movement. And in 2014, under his leadership, the rebels gained international attention when they successfully took over Sana'a, the capital city of Yemen, dissolving the parliament and causing the newly elected president, Abdrabbu Mansur Hadi, to flee to the south. Hadi was still backed by the Sunni Arab militias in the south and numerous Western allies. With this support, he joined forces with Saudi Arabia and a coalition of 9 other Sunni nations to launch airstrikes against Houthi positions on March 26, 2014. This bombing campaign, coupled with a Saudi blockade of the country's ports, led to a humanitarian crisis in which more than 10 million Yemenis faced starvation and over 13 million civilians were without access to clean water, according to Oxfam. UNICEF also reported that the crisis caused the displacement of over 100,000 people. The risks of starvation and civilian death continue today, with the UN estimating that by the end of 2021, the conflict had claimed more than 377,000 lives, 70% of which were children under the age of 5.
Feels like a calamity. They think the world has forgotten them. It's chaotic and anarchic and desperate.
Are they right to think that the world's forgotten them?
And unless action is taken straight away, we are going to see a tragedy of globally catastrophic proportions.
In 2022, the people of Yemen saw some hope for an end to the conflict when a truce agreement brokered by the UN became the first to successfully pause the fighting nationwide since 2016. Since the truce, under pressure from Saudi Arabia, Hadi has ceded power to the new president, Rashad al-Alimi. As it stands, the Yemen government under al-Alimi is backed by Saudi Arabia and its Western allies with both military and logistical support, while the Houthi rebels under Abdul Malik al-Houthi are supported by Iran as part of Iran's Axis of Resistance, a coalition of militant Islamist groups spread across the region. It's through these groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen that Iran projects its power across the Middle East, influencing key geopolitical targets such as the Suez Canal and the Red Sea.
The Yemen-based Houthis have vowed to keep carrying out attacks on ships in the Red Sea to show solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza.
In November of 2023, in response to the Israeli ground invasion of Gaza, Iran put its Axis of Resistance to use, supporting the Houthi attacks launched on commercial vessels in the Red Sea, with the aim of striking back against what it claims to be the inevitable expansion of the Israeli invasion. These strikes have caused panic in the shipping industry, as normally 40% of trade between Asia and Europe passes through the Red Sea. In response to the risk of attack by Houthi rebels, the cost to ensure vessels transiting the region has increased tenfold over the previous year. Companies continuing to use the Suez Canal pass the increased cost onto consumers, resulting in France's CMA CGM, the world's second largest shipper by market share, doubling its rates from Asia to Europe, while 4 of the world's major shipping companies, representing approximately half of the world's container capacity, have stopped routing through the Red Sea altogether. there. Instead, these ships are now sailing around the Horn of Africa, adding up to 14 days of travel time and costing an additional $1 million in fuel expenses. Looking for other means, some UK companies have shifted capacity to rail, routing from Western China to Eastern Europe. However, the spike in demand for alternatives to Red Sea shipping has caused the price per 40-foot rail container to jump from around $7,000 in November to between $9,000 and $10,500 after the Houthi attacks. Fearing the economic impact of these attacks, the U.S. has established a naval task force dubbed Operation Prosperity Guardian, made up of ships from 20 countries, and spearheaded one of its own aircraft carriers to patrol the waters in the Gulf of Aden and the south of the Red Sea. This task force has been engaged in direct fighting with Houthi rebels throughout the end of 2023, with U.S. naval helicopters firing on Houthi boats attempting to board container ships in transit. Strikes by the Houthis intensified in January of this year when the group launched anti-ship ballistic missiles and Shahed drones against a number of commercial and coalition ships in the Red Sea. Sophisticated and cheaply manufactured munitions such as these are reportedly being transported into Yemen by Iran as part of its axis of resistance, signaling the possibility of the U.S. being drawn into a proxy war with Iran through fighting in Yemen. This comes along reports from the Pentagon that Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria conducted almost 100 rocket attacks on U.S. forces in the last months of 2023. The U.S. responded to these attacks in early January 2024 by launching air and missile strikes of their own, targeted at Houthi radar and air defense systems, alongside storage and launch sites for drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles. Most recently, on the 13th of January, the U.S. launched Tomahawk land attack missiles aimed to denigrate further the Houthis' ability to attack commercial and coalition military ships in the region. While it is too early to tell if these strikes will have the intended effect, Iran has already condemned the strikes, with its foreign ministry delating them to be a violation of Yemen sovereignty. The Houthis have promised retaliation for the strikes carried out by the US and UK, with the Houthis' movement's Supreme Political Council stating that all American British interests have become legitimate targets, while UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak gave a recent statement on the coalition strikes claiming that it was necessary and proportionate, as well as the only feasible means available to deal with such attacks. Neither the Houthi rebels nor coalition forces have shown any indication of de-escalation, and with more and more weapons being used each day, it seems eventual casualties on the coalition side are inevitable. If this were to happen, it is unclear what response the US might have. However, one thing is clear. This latest missile exchange in the Red Sea is the newest flashpoint in what is becoming an increasingly clear proxy war being waged by Iran's axis of resistance against the US and its allies. Thank you so much for watching our coverage of the ongoing conflict in the Red Sea. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you would like to see more content like this.